What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Spread Astaire, joined today by Gary, USCG. Gary, we were just talking before we went on a pretty good DFS slate today. I think that we have a majority of the news already figured out. So we're going to be able to give people some good information here bright and early, which isn't always the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty much dialed in. I haven't made a lineup yet, but I've done my first glance over of the slate, and it's going to be a really tasty slate. And I like also that all the games are going to be started by eight Eastern, so I like that. I like that we don't have to backload lineups or wait for late news, and just messes with your lineups from the DFS on the DFS side of things. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for it for sure.
All right, yeah, and let's dive right in. Well, first of all, being the Kings fan, I got to review the weekend because there's nothing good to say about the Kings. But boy, troubles in La La Land. Did you see what was going on with the Lakers? First, they lose to the Crosstown Clippers, who, JSU and Tyler and I talked about that game, and Tyler and I both like the Lakers, and JSU just said, no, the Clippers are a team, the Lakers are terrible, right? And then last night, I don't know what the final score was because I turned it off, but didn't they lose by like 30 points to the Pelicans? They're like snapping at the fans. Like there's videos of LeBron and Ariza and Westbrook all yelling at the fans. What do you think what's going on with the Los Angeles Lakers before we break down today's game?
I mean, I like seeing what I'm seeing out there. I'm not a LeBron guy. I'm not a Lakers guy. I mean, what Russell Westbrook? I looked at his shot. I was watching that game last night. I was watching him shoot the ball, and I'm like, I think my 12-year-old nephew has a better shooting motion than he does. I mean, I can't imagine having him on my team, and there's just no team cohesion there. I mean, there's nothing like it looks like they're not even trying out there. So I mean, I love to see it. I'm a Lakers hater. I'm a Jordan guy over a Bron guy. So I'm definitely loving it.
Yeah, I mean, and as a Kings fan, this is pretty much the only joy we get because we can't really root for our team. But we, the people, agrees, man. Pelicans was an easy W last night, and I felt that Brandon Ingram was kind of enjoying getting a little comeuppance as well. Yeah, Jonathan Nelson not feeling good about it, right? And Jonathan Nelson's, one of the few Lakers fans that like my guy Ski and like my guy Wham. Like, there's a couple guys that I feel bad for, but boy, you see some of these guys on Twitter, and you say, boy, what is up with this fan base? And but Jonathan Nelson, you're a good guy, and I definitely feel bad for you rooting for that team. Let's jump into tonight. The Indiana Pacers are heading down to Orlando to take on the Magic. This is an interesting game, right? Pacers were a team that we really thought was going to be good in the offseason, right? They added Rick Carlisle, they got all these pieces, and I felt that Carlisle kind of has not worked as well. Now, Bjorkgren might have not got along with the players, but I felt that he used them a lot better. And I was even listening to some Dunked On today before the show, and he was talking about, Carlisle moved Sabonis out of the high post, and that made him worse offensively. It's good to see him back in the high post here in Sacramento. But Sabonis is no longer on that team. They now have Tyrese Halliburton, who's done a great job, but it's just for the rest of the roster, it's been really rough. Malcolm Brogdon's been in and out of the lineup. I don't think that he will play tonight, right? Like, we know he's off.
Yeah,
And
he's been
then
ruled
as
out.
well as, Chris Duarte is probable. That'll help. I do like that future backcourt of Halliburton and Duarte. Brogdon might be a guy on the move. And hey, on the other side, here's a name I haven't seen for a while. I don't think I've even mentioned him on this show once this year. Markelle Fultz back in the lineup. Gary, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I definitely like the over in this game. First of all, from a betting side, I think there's going to be a lot of points scored here. It's just going to be back and forth. Both teams don't really play much defense. Wendell Carter Jr. If you can grab his, I mean, I hate to take Tyler's thunder here, but I love Wendell Carter Jr.'s double and win here. I think the Magic get it done, and I like the over.
Yeah, I mean, Pacers probably have better statistics, right? But when you just look at the teams that they're fielding tonight with all the injuries, I'd say the Magic roster is just a little more complete, right?
Yeah.
They got bigs, they got smalls. It seems like the Pacers are so guard oriented right now while they're waiting for Miles Turner to get back. TJ Warren, is he ever going to play? I keep
Who knows
waiting
about
for him
that?
to come back, right? So, yeah, I'm with you there on the Magic and Wendell Carter. Our guy, We the People, in the chat likes Wendell Carter as well. He's going over on the points, rebounds, and assists. And we'll double back to Tyler when he does make it. He's running a little late today. The Minnesota Timberwolves are in Cleveland. They're taking on the Cavaliers because of Cleveland's injury situation, but at least we know, right? They're not hitting us at the last minute with us. No Karis LeVert, no Darius Garland, Malik Beasley probable. So interesting situation here, man. We've really loved the Cavaliers all year. They made a lot of money for us on the show. They've been a great team against the spread as well as straight up. But boy, the injuries have not been kind to them, right? First, they lose Colin Sexton, who you can say what you want about Colin Sexton, but tell me he wouldn't help this team. Then Ricky Rubio, who's providing so much of that veteran leadership, he goes down, right? Now you lose Garland. You trade for LeVert. He's out. So what do you have? You have some Godwin, excuse me, I can't remember which one, how you pronounce that one. Some Rajon Rondo backup minutes, right? Isaac Okoro, who I think is a great defender and is going to help your team win, but he hurts kind of on the offensive end. Really have to go through the bigs now on offense, where you look at Minnesota, and we talked about balance with the last game. So much more balance, right? D'Angelo Russell's your point. Anthony Edwards is your wing, and you got Towns down low, who can also bring your shot blockers and your rim protectors outside. Now the Cavaliers will be able to match that, because even if you bring Mobley or Allen out, they still have a rim protector hanging in there. So that's one advantage that the Timberwolves will not have. But overall, I kind of like Minnesota here with Cleveland being in this depleted state. What do you think, Gary?
Yeah, so I think I'm right there with you. I like Minnesota to take this tonight, and from a DFS side, I mean, man, it's going to be really hard for me to target much out of this game, just based on the context of everything else going on the slate. But one player I am extremely excited to roster tonight is Jared Allen. I think he is just going to absolutely feast. His price is $7,300 on DraftKings, $7,200 on FanDuel. I mean, he is simply just too cheap on both sites. And maybe some Lauri Markkanen. I mean, he's had to pick up a little bit of the offensive load here. He's $5,800 on FanDuel, $6K on DraftKings. Won't be owned at all tonight. I think he's a good option. But outside of those two guys, I don't think I have any interest in any Minnesota guys. I mean, Anthony Edwards has just been – just look at his game logs. It's just been not worth the price. It seems like D'Angelo Russell has been doing a lot more for this team. So I think I'm going to be staying away from the Timberwolves side. And like I said, on the Cleveland side, I like Jared Allen and maybe some Markkanen.
All right. And our guy Chris W asks, where's Tyler at? Need some rent money tonight. Ask and you shall receive. The people's champion, Tyler. They're asking for you in the chat. And what perfect timing for you to show up right when we get that comment. How you feeling today, Tyler?
I'm good. My computer is doing one of those you never get your computer, like you turn it on, it's doing one of those updates you want it to be doing. Yeah, I had one of those situations. So got it updated. We're here now. We still on the first game?
Well, so if you want to jump in on the Magic and the Pacers real quick, I started with that one. Not too exciting though. Did you have like a pick that maybe we missed? We liked who'd you like? Wendell Carter double and win was the one that Gary went for there. I kind of like the Magic. What were your thoughts on that one, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of leaned the Pacers. Mm-hmm. I love Buddy Hield's over 3.5 assist prop. I didn't see the number after they released the news of Brogdon being out, so it could be up to 4.5. I still like it because in his 6 games with Indy, he's had 4+ assists in 5 of those 6 games. Now Brogdon's out. He's going to have the ball in his hands even more. It's just basically going to be him and Halliburton. And I just think there's going to be a ton of points in this game. I know the total's pretty high, but they averaged 232 in their last 3 matchups. And you just look at recent games for both these teams. They just put up tons and tons of points.
Yeah, I like the over too, for sure.
All right. And you're doing double duty now, Tyler. We're going bringing you straight in to the Timberwolves and the Cavs. Boy, this line's moved. In the couple minutes we've been talking about the game, it was -3.5 down to -3. I don't think that's news-based. I think that's just a market move. Tyler, what are your thoughts on the Timberwolves and the Cavaliers, with the Cavaliers missing LeVert, and Darius Garland tonight.
Give me Minnesota at even better number now spread. I mean, I see 2.5 on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have no guards tonight. The Cavs do. Of course, they still have the big men. They'll still be able to play pretty good defense. But you look at their 2 games without the guards on the floor. They played Washington and Detroit. Washington got absolutely no production out of their guards in that game.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs managed to win. Detroit got 17, 6, and 6 out of Cade and 21 and 6 out of Diallo off the bench. Their other guards didn't play very well, but they managed to pull off that win by 3. Now you're going to send a team in that has better guards than both of them. And Russell's been playing out of his mind. I know Ant Edwards has been kind of iffy recently, but if there's ever a spot to pick it back up, it's right here. So I like Minnesota here, and I like Russell over 6.5 assists. In his last 8 games when he's played 30-plus minutes outside of the blowouts of them blowing people out and getting blown out, he's gotten 7+ assists in 7 of those 8 games. I'll gladly take that. And you could also do Beverly over 1.5 threes. You look at his recent 3 numbers. He went 0 for 3 last game. Of course, they got blown out in that game. The game before that, 4 for 7. And then recent games after that, 2 for 4, 1 for 8, 3 for 6, 2 for 6, 3 for 7, 1 for 4, 2 for 3, 3 for 5. So I don't mind doing him over 1.5 threes or the performance doubles, him 2+ threes and win at about +180, or Russell 8+ assists and win at about +340.
All right. Yeah, I like that. And, if you guys watch the show, you know this, but I always say D'Angelo Russell finally coming into his own and looking to be the team leader that the Timberwolves need. So that should be a fun game tonight. Too bad they're not at full strength. But like I said, with these guys making these playoffs
Did you see who's in for Orlando in that game?
Yeah, Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, I just realized. I just seen that on the list. I was like, that's a weird name to see listed in all of a sudden.
Well, yeah. Hey, and maybe TJ Warren will do that at some point this season too, right? As we keep waiting for him to get back. Tyler, do you think Fultz will be effective at all in his debut?
Probably not. He'll probably play a couple minutes. Now in a few games, he could be productive, like once he gets his minutes ramped up. But I don't see him playing a ton of minutes right here.
If I remember right, he was playing pretty well right before he got hurt, right?
Yeah, and I mean this matchup, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if he does go out there and play very well. Like there's just gonna be a ton of points. He could put up 15 right here, so
yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some interesting things to keep an eye on in the association. Last night, Tyler, you were late and you missed our little Lakers eulogy. But since that's all I really have to go on as a Kings fan, I'm sure
that was bad.
3 or 4
that
more
was
this
just
season.
Bad last night. I mean, the DeAndre Jordan pass alone thrown out of bounds. Like, where was that even to?
Yeah, and they're adding Carson Wentz on Twitter.
Did you see Jeannie Buss walked out of the arena in like the 3rd quarter?
Yeah. So that's pretty much that's all I did.
When do we start the rumors of where LeBron's going in the offseason?
Oh, I heard Cleveland doesn't want him.
I wouldn't want him. I wouldn't want him disrupting everything over there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure he stays 1 more year, and then I think he has a player. He has 1 more year and then a player option after that, if I remember right. Let's talk about other teams embroiled in controversy, right? The Toronto Raptors are heading to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Kind of interesting news here. So it's like, oh, we're going to undo the vaccine mandate for Barclays. And everyone's like, oh, cool, Kyrie Irving's going to play. Like, we can get past, like, this part-time stuff. And then they're like, oh, no, it's just for spectators, though, not players. So I thought that was kind of weird. The whole thing is just it's getting a little frustrating as an NBA capper, and I'll just leave it at that. So he's not going to be playing tonight because they haven't changed the rules yet, and who knows if they're going to play him once the rules change. So we'll have to keep an eye on that because it seems to change all the time. So they're catching 4 against the Toronto Raptors. Now they're coming off a great win, right? They beat the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, and this is, they're missing their 3 best players, right? Andre Drummond's in there acting like it's like 2016, and they were able to get it done against the Bucks. Now they play a Raptors team that, let's be honest, man, this Raptors team let me down. They were my best bet on Friday. They lose by 30 to the Hornets. I mean, it was just tough to watch. And then let's see, their most recent game, they lost by like 32 and then 27. I mean, it's just been bad.
Look at how many points a defensive-minded team has given up in those 2 games.
Yeah, 125 and 127. Yeah, I was right. 32 and then 27-point loss to Atlanta the following night, and I can say, I got sniped on that pick because OG Anunoby was rolled out, after I gave the pick out, and Siakam's playing hurt, and Van Fleet's got that knee injury, right? But boy, I mean, for them to lose like that was completely unexpected for me. I think I'm going to take the points with the Nets at home. Gary, am I crazy?
Nah, I definitely like them here. Like I said, and on DFS, like, man, I don't know what DraftKings is doing, but Pascal Siakam has been over 9K for a long time. They dropped his price 700 to 8,400 against Brooklyn. So, I mean, he's probably going to be a popular option on DraftKings. I mean, but it's hard to ignore, especially if Fred VanVleet sits on the front end of the back-to-back, which, I'm probably leaning that he sits here on the front end, but we shall see. I like him regardless here at 8,400. But if VanVleet is out, also you got Gary Trent sitting there at 6,200. I mean, we've seen it in the past. Every time, most of the time when Fred VanVleet is out, Gary Trent is running the point, and he's doing a lot. He's only 6,200. That's a cheap price tag. And for the Brooklyn side, I don't know. Man, I just hate playing Brooklyn. I never know who's going to go off. Like, I think I'm just going to avoid them again. I've seen people in chat earlier today. They're saying how cheap Brooklyn is. Maybe a Seth Curry, and that's about it for me. He's 5,900 on both sides. So, but yeah, I definitely like the Toronto side here for sure.
Gary, I know that the Raptors have been, a darling for DFS this year because they play the starters those heavy minutes. Do you think that, hey, we're seeing Anunoby out, VanVleet's got the knee issue, Siakam's not 100%. Do you think that's like a direct result of it, or do you think that it's just kind of like coincidence and I'm just grabbing at straws there?
I mean, I think it kind of has to be. I mean, it's a long season. But these guys have come out and said that, hey, I want to play all these minutes. So it's not like they're going against their will here, playing all these heavy minutes. But I think it's definitely taking a toll for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously been a long time, but back when I was running around, there was not a lot of guys that wanted to sit around and watch. Everyone wanted to be out on the court. Tyler, what do you think of the Raptors and the Nets? Toronto, lane 4 on the road.
Yeah, I mean, still no OG for them. I think I'm on the opposite side of Gary. I think VanVleet plays tonight because it's the same matchup tomorrow. It's just return to Toronto.
Right.
I think they'll sit him out that game. So I think you'll see.
You think they sit him out at home?
Yeah, I think they'll sit him out at home.
Okay.
I mean, there's no fans there. What are you going to play him for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he plays in Brooklyn, and it's off of 2 losses. You got to think they want to pick it back up. They're kind of playing into that play-in tournament spots. So you got to pick up a win here soon. The 2 teams they played, I know Charlotte's been playing terrible over the last couple months. Their offense is still better than what the Nets are putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then who was the other team they lost to?
Hawks.
Spread? Yeah,
great
Hawks.
Offense too.
Yeah,
great
another good offense. So they put up a ton of points. Brooklyn's no offense like that. I think their defense picks back in tonight, so they'll win. And I like We the People's calling Siakam's double and win. You're getting it at like plus 260, so I like that price.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll be on opposite sides again, Tyler. So this should be a fun evening for us. What was the one other thing I was going to ask you with everything you're saying? So you're talking about the plan right now. Toronto's 1 game ahead of the Nets, right? So maybe they try and get VanVleet out there.
This is like these next 2 games are key for them. You figure they pick up both these wins over Brooklyn, like you move up 2 games on them.
Or Brooklyn can actually jump them in the standings and then have home court for that first playing game, and then of course make the move for 6th place. But boy, with the way the Celtics are playing, it's going to be tough to catch them. Let's talk about another game. See, I love this time of year, man. All these games have playoff implications. The Chicago Bulls, who are 2nd place in the Eastern Conference, are going to be in Miami, who are in 1st place, and once again, Miami Heat are 1 game ahead in the standings. Off the top of my head, I think it's 40-21 and 39-22. Bulls are 39-22. Off the top of my head, so don't quote me on that. Total 222. I think this is a fantastic game. This was -3. Miami's take money. It makes sense, right? Because at the end of the game, they should be a playoffs atmosphere in this game. And a lot of times this playoffs come down to defense, right? And with Lonzo Ball out, Alex Caruso still out. And hey, let's not count out the Bulls for the postseason because Patrick Williams is coming back too. It's going to be another great defender for this team, but all 3 of them will be missing tonight. I just think that Miami will be able to get the stops when necessary. Obviously, the market agrees with me because I haven't seen any news that makes me think this is anything but a market-based move. I see Vukovic is probable. I would be really surprised if he sits out. I'm capping that as he is going to play. And even at 4.5, I like the Miami Heat here. It's getting kind of out of the territory. I mean, it was 3 last night. Loved it there. 4.5. Okay, I'm not going to flip sides just off a 1.5, but I'm starting to like it less and less. And at 5, I think it's a stay away. But Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Heat on this one. I just don't want to bet on Chicago while they got all their defenders out. So definitely with you there. And from a DFS side, I mean, DeMar DeRozan, I mean, he's 10.2, 10.3 on both sites, fully priced up. I mean, if you want a guaranteed 50 fantasy points, he's your guy. But I think I'm going to stay away. He hasn't shown. He's been incredible. A credible player for them, MVP type player this season. But for daily fantasy, I mean, I want 60 plus at his price tag. And one price that jumps out at me in this game, I like looking at price discrepancies on both sites. I'm seeing Bam Adebayo is 9,900 on FanDuel, but for whatever reason, he's only 8,800 on DraftKings. I'm going to have a lot of Bam Adebayo, and I think he's going to eat. He's going to get anything he wants in this matchup, and he might be my favorite play on the entire slate tonight. So I definitely like Bam on DraftKings specifically, and probably not much else for me from this game, honestly. Maybe some Tyler Hero at 6,300 because Lowry's out, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I think it's I probably overdo it too much, right? I just almost want to like cross people off the list when they're going against the Heat. And obviously, people still put up points and can still be in the winning lineups going against the Heat. But it's a tough matchup at every position, right? There's no real advantage matchup that you like when you're playing the Heat. So it'll be interesting to see how much Butler covers DeRozan tonight and how much that affects his output. Tyler, I lean the Heat, but the market kind of took away my love for this play. What do you think?
No, they're going to beat this team easily spread. Bet them at 4.5 easily. The
Okay.
Bulls are 2-12 against teams with a 60% winning percentage or better. 0-2 against the Heat this year. 0-3 against the 76ers. 1-1 against the Cavs. 0-1 against the Bucks. 0-1 against the Suns. 0-2 against Golden State. 0-2 against Memphis. 1-0 against the Jazz. This defense is going to kick in for Miami.
Which of these teams is not like the other, right? The Jazz.
Yeah, it's like, which of these teams on this list sticks out and they just so happen to have a win against them? And I would want to know who all played in that Cavs game they won, if that was recently with some of the guards out. So Miami's defense will kick in. I'm not worried about Lowry being out because they're so deep on this team. They're going to slide Gabe Vincent into the starting lineup. They'll keep Hero on the bench. Their bench is going to absolutely kill Chicago's bench. So I love that. Just like Gary said about Bam, he's going to kill Vucevic. This could be one of them games Duncan Robinson hits a ton of threes too because Chicago's defense isn't good. And you look at Chicago since January 1st spread, they beat 2 playoff teams, Cleveland and Minnesota. Every other team that's in the playoffs right now, they've lost to. You said Jimmy Butler probably guards DeRozan? Maybe, but they'll probably.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I know,
if
but
he does,
I don't think we do see much of that because he's going to be playing point guard duties. PJ Tucker will take care of him, though.
Yeah, I think PJ Tucker will be on him, but just not good either.
Yeah, and then Jimmy's assists is set at 7.5. Give me the over there with no Lowry. He's going to be playing point Jimmy tonight. Bam's double-double and win. Jimmy 8+ assists and win, and even Jimmy double-double and win.
All right. Any thoughts on the total? Our guy, We the People, likes the under.
I don't mind the under. I mean, the Heat are going to be more defensive, but they can hang a big number right here on Chicago because they're just not going to be able to stop them anyway, I don't think.
And West Coast Jim says Miami did almost lose to the Spurs G League team. I'd say 2 comments there. 1, a win is a win. And 2, gosh, I can't remember which guest it was. We've had multiple guests on that say, hey, when these guys get their opportunity, they go out. And I almost think that there was like a method to Pop's madness there. Why run out a bunch of tired starters who already know that they're going to start no matter what? Why don't I give, these backup guys that are fighting for minutes, put them out there and let my guys rest? So I didn't actually think that was as bad.
Wasn't it the first game home off the road trip too?
It was the game after. So, you weren't on the show. On the live show, remember when the Spurs went to double overtime with the Wizards?
Yeah.
So they went to double overtime and they played their starters like the whole OT. I mean, everyone was dog tired. It was off of that game. And so then the very next night in Miami, he's just like, I'm not even going to bother with it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what we got there. So you're making me feel better about my Heat pick. Obviously, I played it a little earlier.
That also was the first game back home spread because they were on a road trip before the All-Star break.
I understand your point.
They were on a 2-game road trip before the All-Star break, came out of the All-Star break back onto the road, and then came home for that first game against the Spurs. We know how teams usually lay up right there. So
okay, good point. For some reason, I thought you were asking about the Spurs. So, all right, a great clarification there. But we were just talking about the Spurs, so I think this translates perfectly because this team that rested their starters, like I said, and covered the spread against the Grizzlies is now catching. Against the Heat is now catching 8.5 against the Grizzlies on a total of 237.5. Not the highest total on the board though. Second highest total on the board here. I like the Spurs here, man. I just kind of gave them props, for trying hard, even with those reserves that were fighting for minutes. DeJounte Murray, first year as an All-Star, he's going to have a great matchup tonight against Ja Morant, right? And he's got to look at Ja and say, he's where I want to be. He this is kind of how I want to pattern my evolution as a star to become a superstar in this league, seeing what Ja's doing, first getting the numbers, and now getting the win. So I think that we're going to see a great performance from DeJounte Murray tonight. Ja has something like 16 games in a row, scoring 20 points or more. So he seems like he's pretty safe if you're playing a DFS cash game, right? It seems like it's a pretty high floor right there. I do like the Spurs to cover the spread though. Gary, go ahead and break it down and then talk about your options because I'm thinking with that total, you're going to want to be involved in this game somehow, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, a little bit, maybe just at the top for me. But as far as betting goes, I think I'm just going to stay away. I don't have a good lean on this on the top side or total, so I think I'm just going to stay away on that side. But so on the DFS side, it's obviously the DeJounte and Ja Morant show, but it's kind of flip flopped on both sites. Like you got DeJounte is the most expensive on DraftKings out of the two, and Ja's the most expensive on the other on FanDuel. So whoever's cheaper on the site, that's who I prefer. I just think DeJounte at 10-6 on DraftKings. I think he's a good play. I'm just going to play Giannis rather than pay 10-6 for him. But definitely do like Ja Morant in this spot. And also looking at the rest of the pricing, total 7,300 on DraftKings. No, I'd rather play Bam.
I say it's a little too high, right? All the value is gone. If you land on him.
Yep.
Right.
And then looking further down here, Jaren Jackson is never a guy I roster. I know he's been pretty good lately. He's 6,700. I'm just not going to have any of them. I like others better. Desmond Baines, 6,100. He's fringy for me. Probably won't have much. Steven Adams is probably my favorite. And he's even priced up to 6K. So he's been doing well lately, but I don't know. I think it's just DeJounte and Ja for me.
So it sounds like that they adjusted the prices to that total, right? Because these are higher than what I'm usually hearing for these guys.
Well, Podol's been up here. Let's look here. He's been.
Well, that's because they're trying to get him off like the 40% ownership every night, right?
Doesn't the pricing go off like an algorithm too?
Yeah,
but I know the totals weighted pretty heavily.
They just played a double OT game and they all played like 45 plus minutes. That algorithm just jumped all their prices up right there off of those inflated
that's a good point too.
Yeah, and the 2 games before they sat, Podol is coming off a 58 spot and a 52 spot. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's a good option. I just don't like targeting against Steven Adams. I know he's getting older and everything, but I like Bam. I'm gonna have a lot of Bam. So
when you get older, you can still play down low. Your muscles don't go anywhere, right? You're still benching the same. It's your 40-yard dash and your cone that disappears, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think it's just going to be DeJounte and Ja for me.
All right. So Tyler, I think this is an interesting game. I'm taking a stand. It is so tough going against the Memphis Grizzlies, who actually did make some places up in the standings, right? With both the Warriors and the Suns falling last night, right? So Memphis has to be happy about that. They got their eyes on the prize, right? Am I stepping in front of a juggernaut here, or do you like the fact that I've taken the points with the Spurs?
No, I'm going to be opposite of you here. Give me Memphis, and just like you just said, the other 2 teams in front of them in the Western Conference are starting to lose some games. Phoenix missing CP3, we could see them take a tumble. Golden State's been kind of tumbling along for a couple months now, so if we can find a line for Memphis to be the 1 seed in the West and get a nice price on it, I don't hate it.
Oh, it's still hard though.
But I mean, think about it, spread.
I'll look it up right now.
Say they go on
it's
a
like
10-game
8
winning
games
streak
with like
right
22. Let me give you the exact numbers though.
They rip off 10 wins real quick. Golden State and Phoenix keep losing. All of a sudden, they're 2 games back, and they're right there. So
they're 7.5 back. They have 20 to play, and Phoenix has 21. So
I mean, it's going to be hard, but if these teams keep playing bad, I can see it happening.
You know what, Tyler? When we're off the air, let's look into the Suns' schedule.
Okay.
I think that would have a lot to do with it, right? I think Memphis can keep winning. It's just, are the Suns going to lose enough? And I know, they lost without Chris Paul in their most recent game, but they're still 5-1 without him. So interesting
5-2,
spot.
they lost that Pelicans game too. They're on a 2-game losing streak.
5-2. Excuse me. Thank you. That's what I get for hiking all weekend. All right. Right. Let's look into that after that, and we'll touch on that on the show again tomorrow. Last one for this one, Richie. Man, yeah, crazy stat. Ja leads in points in the paint. 2 things. One, Ja is absolutely amazing, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. How lucky are they that they didn't get the number 1 pick in that draft? And
I got the rest of that breakdown for that game, though, spread with the player performance doubles.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm taking Memphis here, they're 7-2 against the spread in their last 9. Mm-hmm. They're 4-1 last 5 at home against the spread. Mm-hmm. San Antonio in their last 5 against Memphis, 1-4 against the spread. The last 5 matchups of these teams spread, Memphis 5-0 straight up. The winning margins, 8, 13, 4, 31, and 17. When I look at these teams, I think they're similarly built. I think Memphis is just a better built version of them with a bigger power forward. Better defensively. Jaw's going to eat on Poto in the paint here, so I think they win this game by double digits. Give me Memphis. Point guards and shooting guards tear them up too. 23 points, 3 threes, 8 assists for point guards. 24 points, 3 threes, 5 assist average for shooting guards. So Jaw 30+ and win. Bane 20+ and win. And I don't hate the Adams double-double and win because I could see him eating Poto up down low.
All right, Tyler, and just checked. Users Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp just gave our video a thumbs up for disagreeing on every single game so far. Let's see if it keeps going here. The Charlotte Hornets are catching 10.5 in Milwaukee, taking on the Bucks. This is the highest total on the board, but it's 238, only a half point higher than the Spurs and the Grizzlies, but it does get the designation of highest total on the board. Bucks have lost 4 of their last 5. Including that loss on Saturday night to the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, that's got to be a tough loss because, Brooklyn didn't have anybody, right? They're led by Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. This is just wild that they lost that game. I think they gave up 40. I can't remember the exact number. They gave up more than 40 points in the third quarter. That was the difference in the game. Really rough stretch for the Bucks, who, I'm obviously really high on them. I've been really high on them for a while, but they are not playing well. I wonder if this is the grind of the regular season really wearing them down. Hornets also not playing well. They've lost 10 of their last 12 games, right? They've given up in their last 11 games. They've given up 110 points 8 times. So this team just doesn't know how to play defense. They're a great offensive team. I see why the total is here at 238. I think that's a good total because I don't want to play the under in this one, but they played it so high. I don't want the over. Instead, I want to grab the points with the Charlotte Hornets, man. I just think it's too much for a struggling Bucks team. And I'm actually kind of surprised that the Bucks are struggling. But these things happen, man. It's a long season. And I think, they're maybe looking ahead to the playoffs, even though they say they're not. They were the last team to play last year. Of course, the season ended a little later than usual. So maybe some fatigue here for the Bucks. I like the Hornets. Gary, start with you.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I don't like betting the Hornets, but like you said, I think 10.5. I think it's too much. Looking over the last 10 games on some NBA advanced stats, I'm seeing Milwaukee's got the second worst defensive rating in the league over the last 10 games. Charlotte's actually got the
wild, and it's not like Holiday's been out.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Charlotte has the 6th best defensive rating over their last 10 games. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of points here, but I don't think Milwaukee right now. I think they're tired. I just think 10.5 is way too much here.
Yeah.
And from on the DFS side, for sure, it's going to be the Giannis show. He's still going to dominate. He looks like he's leading projection sites by like 8 points on the next highest projected player. He's going to be a popular play for sure, but definitely warranted. On DraftKings, maybe some Rozier below him. Bobby Portis, 6,900. This is a smash spot for bigs versus Charlotte. And on the flip side of that, on the last 7 games, Milwaukee has given up the second most or the most fantasy points to centers. So Montrezl Harrell is 6K on DraftKings, and on FanDuel, he is 7,100. So again, going back to the price discrepancy from sites, Harrell at 6K, nobody's going to play him. I like him a lot here. So on this game, I think it's going to be Giannis, Rozier, Harrell, and Portis for me.
Yeah, and Portis coming off 30 points and the loss to Brooklyn. Tyler, we've seen this before, though, right? With championship teams, they catch a lull at some point in the season. It is a long grind, especially when you know you're not going to be judged on what happens in March, but rather in May and June. What are your thoughts on this game?
I mean, mark down another one. We're on the opposite side.
Yes.
Milwaukee here.
Right,
They did this already once this year. Spread. They went 1-4 in 5 games. Everyone started to panic. You want to know what they did in that next game?
Let's hear it.
117-89 W.
Against who?
Detroit.
Okay.
Who just beat Charlotte last night in overtime.
Yeah, that's true.
So you look at Charlotte's most recent games. They're 2-8. Those 2 games they won spread were 30-point blowouts against Toronto out of the All-Star break and Detroit right before the All-Star break. Milwaukee's going to get right here. Charlotte's bigs aren't going to be able to stop Giannis or Bobby Portis. I think they win this game, and I think they win it by double digits. Give me the Bucks. Give me Portis 18+ and 20+ points and win, and give me Portis double and win.
All right, we kept the streak going, and guys, we did not plan this. As you saw, Tyler's computer was updating, and it updated to reject every single pick that I've given out. One last chance, Tyler, for us to disagree. My Sacramento Kings head to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder, the second best team in the league against the spread. Sacramento Kings, boy, hopes were high after we had 2 wins after the trade for Sabonis. Now it kind of came back down to earth, but they played a playoff team in every single game. This is their first chance with the new roster against a non-playoff team. And boy, are the Thunder a non-playoff team. They definitely don't want to win games, right? They're going to be real careful with guys. Let me double check, right? Josh Giddey's out. That's how I capped it this morning. Yeah, Josh Giddey's out. Tyler Jerome's out. Kenrick Williams is out. My guy Lou Dort's out. Rashawn Holmes is questionable. And there's interesting talk around here on whether or not he's really hurt or if it's just kind of like to save face, because it seems like they're all in with Sabonis and Holmes will be shopped in the offseason. Supposedly they wanted to move him at the deadline, just couldn't find a deal that they wanted, but they understood the fit's not there anymore. Damian Jones getting some of those backup minutes now instead of Holmes. So interesting that the Kings too many centers, right? Not many teams in the league have that problem. Regardless, so I like this game a lot when it came out. It was at 4.5. It moved to 5.5. So the market's with me on a couple of these here. I still like the Kings to get it done, but boy, it's really getting into that territory. I like taking Oklahoma City with the large spreads, less than 5. I like to take them as it's creeping above 5, less and less attractive, but I still like the Kings. Gary, let's hear it.
Man, I think we're in lockstep and the opposite of spread. I definitely like the Kings here. I just think the loss, Giddey being out, I don't know. I just like this Fox and Sabonis combination. Fox is going to have a monster game. I'm expecting probably 35+ points here. At least he's 8,500 on DraftKings, 8,400 on FanDuel. Excellent play on both sites. Sabonis is up there at 9,700, 9,500. Not really too much into him in the DFS, just other spins I like more than him. And also SGA. I mean, SGA is 9,600 on both sites, but man, he is going to smash here too. There's going to be a lot of points scored here, but I do think the Kings come out on top. One more player that I will mention is Trey Mann. I keep on harping on the price discrepancies on both sites. So on FanDuel, Trey Mann is 7,200. On DraftKings, he is 5,400.
Wow.
He has been absolutely balling. I love him tonight. I don't see a lineup that won't have Trey Mann in it for me tonight.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right, one of the problems, when I was lamenting and having that breakdown on the day that the Kings traded Halliburton, I said, well, we already had a pretty good offense. He doesn't really make your defense better, right? And you still can't get stops at the end there, right? And so leading in there. And so, I mean, Richie Smalls wants to know, is this your favorite game to target actually here, Gary, or do you have a favorite game?
I mean, it's hard to go against that Indy Magic game for me. As far as like I love a lot of pieces in that Indy Magic. If I was a game stack a game, it would probably be Indy Magic.
All right. Well, there you go, Richie.
But this
Smalls
would probably be number 2 for sure.
Yeah. Well, there you go, Richie. I'm trying to answer the questions from the chat. Tyler, here it is. I put it on a tee for you. Last chance to go against me, and all you have to do is fade the Kings. What are you doing?
It's not hard when they're on the road. 7-2 straight, 7-22 straight up on the road this year. 1-16 straight up in their last 17 on the road. Spread. This team can't win outside of Sacramento.
And they can't
I know OKC's bad, but they're scrappy. If Sabonis doesn't take advantage of this small front court for them, which he could, but we seen Ayton get doubled last game. They pull that same kind of spiel here, and the Kings aren't hitting their threes. OKC could easily win this game. Gary's right. SGA is going to go off tonight. He's going to absolutely kill this team. I could see him putting up another 30-plus points here. You could do the 30-plus and win at about like plus 600. And they have a 25-plus and win listed at about plus 210. I'm betting both of those. Give me the plus 5 in the money line.
All right, Tyler, you did it. We managed to go opposite on every single game.
Did we actually do opposite on every? Did you take Cleveland?
No, I took Minnesota.
Oh, we're on the same side there then.
Hey, that kind of ruins the show. We're going by it. So every game but one. So all right, every game but one. Don't keep that Minnesota game in your mind. We like to be opposite here, so that way someone will be able to victory lap tomorrow. So there you go. We have a pretty cool slate tonight, right? So if you want to watch some TV, or do some activities with the girlfriend, everything's going to be done by 11 Eastern or 8 Pacific here, right? So pretty nice for me. I do like that. Have all the TVs going there right at 5, and let's get it all in, get our notes taken, and move on. So speaking of moving on, it's time for the best bets. Tyler, what's your best bet for the day?
Give me Miami minus 4.5 spread. They're going to beat this team by double digits today. They're going to make it known that they're the best team in the East today. They're going to beat up on the team that's a fraud, who's going to be a first-round exit in the playoffs.
All right. Gary, what do you got today? Best bet, side, total, prop?
So I'm going to pull a Tyler here. I'm going to say a prop that I didn't really mention. I didn't mention it at all, but I said that I love this player.
That's why we keep the viewers. They can't tune out till the end.
Yeah, I love this player tonight. He's going to be in all my lineups on DraftKings. Trey Mann over 22.5 PRA. I think he's going to smash that number very comfortably.
All right. I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs plus 8.5. I think they keep it close against the Grizzlies. They're able to keep it close against the Heat with the B squad. I think really, you're just getting a great effort from all their players. And after that performance on Saturday, if one of the starters isn't getting it done, I don't think Pop will be hesitant to go ahead and try to find a lineup that works. And sometimes we do this on the money line too, right? We might be looking at the double dog parlay, but I think this is just a case where it's a close game. I'm not as interested in the Spurs money line, but I do like them plus the 8.5. So there you have it. There's our best bets for the day. Why don't Gary, you let everyone know what's going on over at Run Pure Sports this week, and then we'll finish it off with, do you have a super parlay that you're cooking up over there, Tyler?
I'll build it right now while he's doing the promo.
Gary, break it down. What's going on at Run Pure Sports this week besides cashing like millions of dollars in DFS tickets?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's been crazy this weekend. I know AP, JSU, and Hoop just went live to talk about the PGA recap over the weekend. AP had the GOAT call on the Workbench Play of the Week. He won $50,000. We had a subscriber that built one lineup in PGA, use a combination of the Workbench Play and Big T. Had a player in there. One lineup, he shipped like $256K.
Yep.
Out of, he had $146 on the line and won $256K. I mean, I don't know what better promo there is than that. I mean, this happens every night. I mean, every night somebody's winning 6 figures. I mean, I don't know the last time somebody hasn't won six figures is. So I don't know what you're doing if you're not signing up. We'll see on baseball. I think the CBA was supposed to – today's the last day that the CBA could get signed before we lose baseball games. So I'm a big baseball guy. I'm looking forward to that, but I hope they get their crap together. I mean, we got MMA every weekend coming up. Title's been smashing that on the playbooks. Glock, I mean, he picked up for me this weekend. I was out of town. He was crushing it on the NBA playbook every night. So, I mean, I don't know what you're doing if you're not signed up for sure.
Right, and make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GetBets. And Gary, there's one sport you left out, the only sport that I provide a core for, and that's tennis. But hey, we're still cashing over there too off the lineups. Now we don't get the huge screenshots because usually, on the little $15 tournament, like first place is only like 4 or 5K. But we've had members take those down as well. And I think tennis is just a great game if you want to play some DFS cash, tennis and MMA. I really like the way that those work out because you just choose your winners. And then, you wait for it to lock, and then you kind of find out like which two fights or which two matches are going to determine because you double up so often. But all right, Tyler, the promo time's over. Although Bobby Heenan would have been proud of that, the way we're cutting promos over here. Let's hear the super parlay of the day. And like you said, since baseball's on the fritz here, we need a home run, no warning track power. What we got, Tyler?
All right, we're going to roll with D'Angelo Russell, 8+ assists in Minnesota wins as the first leg.
All right.
Jimmy Butler, 8+ assists in Miami wins that game. And the final leg, Pascal Siakam double-double. Toronto gets back in the win column tonight. That gets you 43-1.
That's what we need. So we'll be cashing a 43-1 tomorrow. And Tyler and I will talk about who got more in our picks against the spread. Gary, thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. Sorry, I was thinking of my time, 12:30. And guess what? We will be talking about revenge because Travis Mangone will be on the show. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and run.